Michael, good afternoon. Obviously disappointed to go out of the FA Cup on Saturday, but you said you were proud of the performance the players gave. You're going to need that a bit more, do you feel, against Chelsea?
Yeah, of course we need to play well. I think every game's different. Every game's different. Just because it was a Premier League team that's doing very well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's this copy and paste and do the same again. And there's different challenges in that. You know, we obviously had certain ones to face on Saturday and different ones to face tomorrow night. We know their level. We know what they're capable of doing. But we also know our level and how we can play and what we're capable of doing as well. So we can really look forward to the game.
You say every game's different, and this is different again because it's a two-legged affair. Does that change the approach in any way? What's the aim to make sure you're still in the tie in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily changes the approach. We approach every game the same, to be honest. In the back of our minds, knowing that at times we might have to manage the game and coming to the end of the game tomorrow night, it's not all said and done, whatever the result. So there's a bit of managing that. Just because it's the last minute tomorrow night doesn't mean it's the last minute in the game. So there's certainly that. But you know, two games is very different. So we'll take kind of each part of it as it comes, and first half, second half, first half again, second half again, and kind of whittle it down really, and see how the game kind of evolves and what we got to deal with.
I know playoffs is obviously the main aim at the start of the season of promotion, but do these games against the likes of Aston Villa, Chelsea give you a gauge of where you are as a team?
In some ways, maybe, yeah. In some ways, I think it's in many ways. I say it's a one-off. This one's obviously not a one-off, but in terms of cup competitions, it's a one-off. It's a release from the week-to-week kind of situation of going for the league. So there's a freshness about it really, and there's a freshness as you kind of re-energised in some ways. I can feel it around the players, I can feel it around the club, I can feel it around the town. So that's what competitions bring, you know, and that's why they can be so unpredictable at times.
The club have obviously won this trophy once before previously. Jay, you think about winning it again for them as a manager?
Now we've come this far. It's an unbelievable opportunity for us, you know, and it's a great experience we got some young players within the group, quite a lot of young players in the group. So for them, it's an unbelievable experience. For the supporters, it's what you support a team for, to try and be successful and have big days, big nights. We're totally realistic, and we know what's ahead of us, and we know what we face. But you know, great. It's I'd much rather playing loads of these games and have a fixture pile up and do whatever, because these are the games that you want to be involved in.
You've played in loads of these games, obviously. Battles against Chelsea as a player with Manchester United were regular things. Does that act as any further inspiration for you, or is that history and doesn't mean anything anymore?
It's we take it for what it is, you know. I think we're here. We've been away from home every game, and now we face, you know, one of the best teams around. So we'll enjoy the challenge, you know, and embrace it and look forward to it. In terms of history, for me, it becomes relevant. You know, it's all about what happens tomorrow night and then 2 weeks' time. So we'll kind of focus our minds on that, and it's not about me anyway. It's about the players. So they're the most important ones in this one.
I suppose, unfortunately, Chelsea just seem to be finding their feet a little bit now under Pochettino, and it's 3 wins on the spin and 1 defeat in the last 6. Have you been analysing them a bit more in the last few weeks?
Yeah, of course, like we would any team. No different, you know. We like to think that we do that and respect whatever game we're playing. So we're well aware of the options they have and the quality they have, and certainly how they've came results wise and over recent times and are on a good run. So yeah, we're fully aware of that, trust me.
How important a part can the fans play tomorrow night, the atmosphere at the Riverside?
The fans are huge tomorrow. I think come and enjoy it, come and be loud, come and support the boys and give that real energy in the stadium, and hopefully, you know, it'll be a special night, whatever happens. For us, it's minds on the game, and obviously we want to try and win, and we want to try and go through. That's why we're here, but certainly the supporters have a massive contribution to do that, and getting behind the lads and keeping them going.
Just finally for me, any bumps and bruises, injury issues to contend with following the weekend?
Not any new ones, no. So that's good to hear.
Same old. Thank you.
Michael, get your point entirely about every game's different, but do you think the players can benefit from having sort of been in and around Premier League players and seeing what they do and seeing how good they are in certain situations?
That's probably the biggest thing we could take from it, is feeling that intensity and that quality, really, at close quarters, and I thought the boys dealt with that very, very well. And but it's just more, you know, we can't expect it just to be the same, and the boys won't expect it just to be the same. We're fully aware of that, but it does help them in that way, that they can feel that.
Maurizio Pochettino did his press conference. He said that Borough were a good team with a good coach and good ideas. What do you think of him and his team?
Yeah, I think he's well, certainly from watching them closely recently. I can't say before that, obviously I've watched little bits like anybody else, but not qualified enough to really comment on that. I think lately we've watched them a lot, and they're very, very dangerous. You can see his ideas coming across more and more, and results have shown that, performances have shown that, and individuals are starting to kind of find the form and blossom in certain ways. So yeah, he's a top coach. You know, he's proved that over a long time now, and his teams are very hard to play against. So that's the challenge we face.
It's been a really busy schedule, and it was a big old game at the weekend as well. Have people had time to take in what a big deal this is, what a big opportunity this two-legged tie is?
I hope so, yeah, because it is the type that doesn't come around very often, and you know, the FA Cup on Saturday was a big occasion. It was a big test. It was a really good game to be involved in. But it was our first round of the competition. This one's slightly different. There's so much work's gone into it. How many times the boys will find themselves in a semi final of a major competition throughout their careers. Some will, some maybe won't. So it's unbelievable opportunity, and one that we're really relishing.
Final one from me. Has there been any talk of the boys of 2004 and what happened 20 years ago with the club?
Not from us, really. No, I think we appreciate it. It's a massive part of the club's history, and it should be celebrated, you know, in the right way. I think in terms of us going into the game and eyes on the game, I think it's purely about what we can do, what the boys can do, what they need to do. But surely there's the beauty of it, you know. There's the magic, and there's that brings, and we'll take one step at a time here.
Thank you.
Michael, you've mentioned already that Chelsea have an expensive squad. They've got a lot of options, but given that this first leg is at home, is it important that you play the game the way you want it to be played and not let them dictate?
It's easier said than done, that. Yeah, of course. You know, we've got a plan. We know how we want to play. We know what our strengths are, if you like, what we're good at, and we'll do our utmost to try and impose ourselves on the game totally, and with an understanding that, you know, they're capable on their day of beating anybody around Chelsea. So yeah, we got to be realistic, for sure. Yeah, we're trying to do all our good things and even more.
It's also been mentioned slightly already that you've played in a lot of these big games yourself as a player. As a manager, do you approach it any different in terms of mentality, and do you have an effect on the players? Do you tell them exactly how you used to approach them?
I think everyone's different. Surely there's the experiences that I've kind of been lucky enough to go through, but all players are different. All players think different. Some players have different approaches. So it's not about me and what I've done, really. It's about how can we, as a group, be well prepared for tomorrow night, and certain things that I need to say at certain times. For me, it'll help that, but really it's not about me and what I've done. It's about the players tomorrow night being in the right spot.
Michael, back in 2004 you were still a young player at West Ham, but given your connections to the club, do you have any memories of that day for Borough?
Slightly, yeah. I think it feels a long time ago, yeah. And it's, yeah, as I say, from the club's point of view, it's a huge day for the club, and I remember it. Yeah, when Gareth was playing, Janino was playing, and I've seen the pictures up and around here, and know what it means to people, and that's, I've said it a few times, that's the impact football can have, and you can create special memories and special days for people, and so, you know, we're closer to that, but we're realistic. Again, I'm not looking to think that this is our big chance of winning something. This is our next opportunity of trying to go through this next game, and then further along the line maybe something might happen. But I don't get too carried away just yet.
But in your time at the club, have you got a sense of what that meant at the time and what it still means to the club now, 20 years on?
Yeah, for sure. That again, it was a major part of the history of the club and a massive success. So I'm fully aware of what that means into the people and the supporters and so many people connected to the club. So again, it's what you can achieve if things come together.
You got a sense of the excitement around the playoff semi-finals last year. What would it mean to you to bring that excitement back for the fans again this season?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's the excitement in general from week to week and watching the boys play and trying to do, well, certainly doing the best and trying to play in a certain way. And you know, the path and the results we'll end up getting, but it's, you know, you got to enjoy the journey as much as anything. This is the next big one. Obviously, we got a lot of challenges to come in the league as well, and probably certainly trying to never take anything for granted. So that this next one's obviously a really big one that we can really soak up.
Michael, you've been a manager for 15 months now. Just over a year ago, after that brilliant start, you're being linked with West Ham. Hasn't gone as well since, at least in terms of results. But would you argue you're a better manager the year on?
I must be, really. I think purely from experiences. There's times through football career that you have good spells, you have spells that you might not get results, but sometimes you think when you're not getting the results, actually performing really well, or you feel really good and you know it's coming around. So there's always ups and downs. I think it's sticking to your beliefs and sticking to your principles and believing in that. So having the ups and downs, and I think that's probably benefited me to adapting and learning how I'll deal with it. Probably not surprised me, because I think I've learned ups and downs over the years, and I know kind of how I go about it when things come along. But nevertheless, with the responsibility and kind of the journey, if you like, that we've been on, absolutely loved every minute of it, and you know, very hopeful that there's plenty more to come.
Just take us inside that. How are you different as a person, pre-manager and post-manager? Michael Carrick the dad, Michael Carrick the husband, the friend. What's the difference in you, would you say?
Probably not. I am who I am.
Yeah.
I
less time for the kids, the wife.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You mean in terms of that?
Yeah, just
right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like less time. Certainly less time for the family. They'll say that, but that's the role. You know, that's the what I've chosen. So, it is what it is. You know, I love doing what I'm doing now, and kind of seeing how successful we can become. So it's a really big challenge, but yeah, really enjoying it.
Last week, I know you asked questions about the golden generation, and you joked, I'm part of that golden generation now. What do you want to distance yourself from that? What's your ambition as a manager? Because you are being spoken about as part of that golden generation of managers now, and some of your former teammates haven't done so well. What's your own ambition to take on?
It doesn't bother me one bit, to be honest. I mean, it's a phrase that gets thrown around. It doesn't mean anything at all. For the boys that you kind of talking about have had incredible football careers, as good as this country's ever produced. So you know, I'm sure they'll go on to have, if they choose to, you know, good coaching careers, managerial careers. I think judging whoever it is over a period of time, I've had my ups and downs since I've been here. Some of the boys will, but just because we played at a certain time or a certain level of player or played together, you know, to put everyone under the same umbrella is doesn't really make sense. So everyone's going to have their own pathway and their own journey. At the moment, this is where I am, and I'm really enjoying it.
Can I just ask quickly, well, you mentioned there your philosophies and beliefs and sticking to them. What are they?
Yeah, I think it's a my philosophy is my belief about football, really. I think you've got to express yourself first and foremost. You know, I think I'm not about formations particularly. I think I enjoy playing football a certain way. I think everyone in this room would see football a different way. We certainly see it as coaches when we're all watching clips and as we see the game, your eye takes you to a certain point, and some of us thinks that was good, some of us thinks that was good, so you kind of go off your instinct a lot of the time, and but I really enjoy seeing the players express themselves, and quite often we can kind of pull players back and say be careful about that, when really I really one of my biggest things is seeing the boys thrive and go and try things and push themselves. So in principle, that's probably my utmost belief, really.
Thank you. Michael, what's the toughest bit about being a manager you found in the last 15 months? What's the most frustrating kind of thing?
Nah, I wouldn't say frustrating. I think there's an acceptance that, you know, there's a certain amount of control and responsibility in this role. For me, there's a certain amount that you pass over to others and players, especially when the game comes along, and understanding that sometimes it won't go exactly to plan. You know what? Again, for me, the best ones is when you see the boys really kind of going for it, backing themselves, playing, doing what they're capable of. Even if it doesn't come off, I'd rather see them do that. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing.
You've done a lot of winning in your career, but obviously becoming a manager at a smaller club is not a small club, but a smaller club, you've got to do a bit of losing as well. Has that been part of the journey, the learning process for you?
I think there's ways to lose, to be honest. I think there's ways to lose. Sometimes I've been ultra positive after a loss. Sometimes when we've won and I feel that we haven't been quite at it. Sometimes it's when I get the most or struggle to accept that, really. So results is not necessarily the be all and end all. I think when you're trying to achieve something and build something over time, for me, you've got to try and there's got to be signs of that, and you've got to try and put a kind of foundation and building blocks in place. So results don't always, from week to week, the odd result doesn't always tell you the full story. So yeah, just my emotions don't necessarily marry up with results.
And then lastly, just the last 20 years, the big clubs have kind of hogged the trophies. I mean, you look at the records and it's always the top six kind of winning them. Would it be good for that to be mixed up with Borough to get in the mix of a final? And
you say it's good to be mixed up when you're not part of them, you know. So if you're one of them, you say no, you want to win it. So it's each to their own. Everyone's fighting for the same thing, to be successful in different ways. So I'm heavily biased. Yeah, of course, we'd love to flip that and try and do something, but I understand this. I can't sit here and talk about winning this cup at this stage. It's there's too much to do before then.
I saw your win against Leicester back in November. I mean, it was a fantastic performance, really, really clever display. How far do you feel you're away from being able to do that consistently, on a weekly basis? And does that give you encouragement against teams like Chelsea that you can hit that level?
Yeah, I think that's the magic ingredient, for me, consistency of we've shown what we're capable of, we've shown in moments, we've showed over little spells. Putting it all together over a period of time, that brings you success in the end. The pleasing thing and the belief that we take is we know what's in the tank, what we can do together, and so that's really encouraging. As I said, this is a whole new challenge for us, but still we've had enough over a period of time to go into the game and looking forward to it and be positive.
And is there any tiny part of you, because you obviously want to reach the playoffs and you've got so many matches, so many fixtures, that thinks, gosh, we could really do without this semi-final?
no chance.
No. And there was a time, around 2 decades ago, when Chelsea in the Premier League and Middlesbrough, there were some fantastic games here with Mourinho, really upset to be losing and things. Do you think realistically, in the modern age of ownership and states-owning football clubs, that Middlesbrough can get back up there again and be giving teams like that, serious games?
Honestly, I think any club can get up there. It's what goes on the pitch ultimately that gets you there. Yeah, there's challenges and there's some restrictions for some of the smaller clubs. I understand that, but it is what goes on the pitch, and there's plenty of clubs that maybe have or shouldn't have been near the top that have been there, or the teams that they've built, probably people look and say, oh, they're not quite as good as the ones that should be at the top. So it is ultimately in the end what goes on the pitch. So yeah, that wouldn't certainly stop us from dreaming and hoping and trying to become better, and I don't think it will stop any others either.
Thanks.
There's been a few suggestions that Senny could be withdrawn from Senegal's squad. Is that the case?
Yeah, but he wouldn't be fit for us, no.
No.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Going to be coming.
I'm not saying he is, but we're working on it at the moment.
Is that injury? Is that still the injury from the Swansea thing? Morgan Rogers can't play tomorrow. Suspension, 2 yellow cards in 5 games. That feels harsh to me. Do you agree?
It feels harsh, yeah, because it feels that it's, you know, you get to the stage of a competition and it's a crucial stage. Obviously, it's built up a little bit, and it means, you know, we can't hide, it means that little bit more when you get to this stage. The rules are set out as the rules. It's really unfortunate. I think you can't play a game thinking about yellows or how many yellows are on. I think it's dangerous to kind of think that. So I think that can be restrictive, but certainly when you do get to semi-finals and finals, I think it can be very harsh. Yeah.
Just asking about Dan Barlaser, obviously Hayden's back now. How good has Dan been in this period, and how difficult is it going to be for you now with the three of them fit?
Yeah, Dan's been really, really fantastic. He's along with Johnny, actually, they've had to take a lot of the load and play a lot of minutes over quite some time now, and they've managed it really well, and they train together every day and have done for a period of time now, and you can see that connection. And I think that's the good thing about us is, you know, is especially the midfielders we got that can all play with each other. Hayden coming back in fantastic. Lewis is coming back around to fitness again. It's fantastic for me to have that chance to not necessarily to pick the best one or the best pair, and it's more of having the freshness and the flexibility they're all different in their own ways. So Dan's done really, really well, and you can see him growing, and the confidence and his quality on the ball is there for everyone to see.
On Dan, Mike, you often talk about the connections in the team and obviously forming that partnership with Johnny over this period. You talked there as well about players expressing themselves and playing with freedom. Dan obviously plays that midfield role in a particular way that's unique to him, and does that go back to that kind of freedom that you give them, obviously within a tactical framework?
Yeah, I was going to say be careful with freedom these days, because they can end up taking that extreme. But of course, for me, everyone's different anyway, and we bring the players, and we brought Dan here because we know what he had and what we feel he was capable of doing, and I think he's totally showing that. You know, he's very, very good on the ball. He sees a pass, he's got composure, he finds space so well and passes forward a lot, and that's his strength. So a lot of our work is getting the players in positions and asking them to do things, encouraging them rather than to do things that bring out the best in them, really, and Dan's certainly done that now.
Obviously on Saturday you mentioned that you left Hayden on the pitch a little longer than you initially planned. Did he come through that alright? Is he alright?
Everyone's fine now.
Brilliant, yeah. And just lastly then, obviously a few selection issues with Sam Greenwood and Morgan. Matthew Hoppy can be registered again now. What's his current?
No, he's got a knock at the moment, so he's not involved.